What's up, everybody? Welcome to Truth About Design, where we give candid truths and guidance for the design industry. And in this video, we are talking about great design versus good design. What's even the difference? The lowest common denominator for interface design has risen over the last decade. You see a lot less of these types of interfaces where things are just kind of all over the place. We figured out how to make user interfaces look okay and function reasonably well. Industry standards have emerged in the same way as you have them in other mature industries. In a car, you wouldn't switch the positions of the gas and brake pedal around or put the seats on the outside of the car. And in a user interface, you wouldn't add blinking text or music playing automatically, and you want things to be relatively uncluttered. Now, this is great progress for the industry, but what do we do now? Is it just enough to just no longer commit the most egregious errors, or should we strive for more? Now, I think that the field of digital design is at a point where we need to strive for greatness rather than just being content with being good enough. But what does great design even look like? And how does it differ from good design? Let's walk through some of the principles. The first principle is that good design gives people what they say they want, while great design solves people's problems in unexpected ways. About a year ago, Samsung announced that it was developing a foldable smartphone. This quote stood out to me. DJ Ko, CEO of Samsung, said that it's time to deliver on a foldable device after consumer surveys carried out by Samsung show that there is a market for that kind of handset. Now, the fact that Samsung is almost proud to say that customer surveys are the reason the company is working on a foldable smartphone is scary. It's one thing to survey your customers on how they enjoy using a product or how a recent product repair went, which Apple has been known to do from time to time via email. However, to base product development plans on customer surveys is highly questionable. Consumer surveys would not have led to products like iPhone, iPad, and Apple Watch. This is a classic example of that old Henry Ford quote, which says, if we had asked the people what they wanted, they would have said, faster horses. Great design understands that the average layperson can't always articulate solutions. They only understand that they have a problem, and sometimes they don't even understand that because they've been working around the problem for so long that they don't even notice that there's a problem in it. Now, it's up to the designer who lives at the intersection of technology and the creative arts to come up with new ways of solving that problem. The designer can make connections between subjects and solve the problem in new ways. The next principle is that good design is data-driven, while great design is data-informed. Now, data-driven is an interesting word combination. It literally means that the data is driving your decision-making. The data points are in the driver's seat, not the person. Now, this is dangerous because not everything is an optimization problem that can be solved with data. Basing all of your decision-making on data points that you can measure right now can lead to you losing focus of the important macro aspects of the problem you're trying to solve. Booking.com is a great example of data-driven design. They do a lot of A/B testing to see how people best convert to booking flights and hotels on their platform. Now, through their tests, they've discovered that adding urgency messaging drives people to book more. Urgency messaging is something like, hey, this hotel has just 4 rooms left, book soon. Now, that's nice. However, over the years, Booking.com has added one urgency message after another, to the point where now it looks more like a shady used car lot than like a serious place to book hotels. Most recently, it has started showing you hotels you can't even book, just to drive home the point that, hey, people are booking hotels at Booking.com, so you should too. And I'm sure it works to improve conversions by 0.4%. But if you look at the whole experience, it's really starting to degrade. That's the type of result you get when you myopically optimize your product based on data points and single-digit improvements to conversion without considering the overall experience. Now compare that with Hotel Tonight, one of the fastest growing hotel booking apps, which was recently acquired by Airbnb for a few $100 million. Hotel Tonight understands that people are trying to find a nice room to stay in, and they optimize for that. It shows larger preview images of the hotel rooms than Booking.com does, and it has a hint of urgency messaging, but it doesn't overpower the entire layout of the page. They are focusing on overall experience rather than just tiny conversion improvements driven by data. The next principle is that good design tries to please everyone, while great design is opinionated and challenges conventions. Great design has a worldview and values that it executes on consistently. It doesn't try to please everyone. Consider Apple's MacBook and iPad versus Microsoft's Surface. Microsoft takes the approach of, we don't want to make a decision on what's the best experience for consumers, so let's just give them everything and let them decide for themselves. In a way, they are letting the consumers design their own experience rather than designing an experience. And that sounds right when you say it like that, but what you get as a result of that is a laptop with a touch screen and a stylus that can also fold both ways, and you can also detach the screen. And it's like, it looks nice, but what will you really use it for? Meanwhile, Apple takes the approach of, let's make technology more personal and create tools and form factors around specific usage scenarios. The iPhone and iPad are designed to handle tasks formerly given to laptops and desktops. In the process of creating this new form factor, the iPhone and iPad are able to handle entirely new tasks as well. A similar dynamic occurs with Apple Watch being able to handle tasks previously given to iPhone while also handling new tasks. In Apple's view, the iPhone and iPad should be kept separate from Mac because each category ends up being more powerful by being true to its form factor. The idea isn't to have these products share the same inputs so that people can do whatever is possible on a desktop and laptop, on a tablet and smartphone. Instead, each has different capabilities based on the user input method and the form factor. That is an opinionated approach to designing devices. And the results are clear. Apple's products have been outselling Microsoft's products by a factor of 30-1 over the last 4 years. So much for the narrative that Apple is losing to Microsoft. The next principle is that great design sweats the details without losing sight of the big picture. You see a lot of companies right now talking about the importance of design. Salesforce released a comprehensive design system complete with a fancy name, the Lightning Design System, and lots of illustrated mascots. However, they neglected to properly set the typography in their design system to optimize for readability on screens. They had such a grand vision that they lost sight of the fundamentals of design. Another fundamental you see neglected a lot these days is figure ground contrast. Text on top of images that isn't readable, all the while talking about how important good design is. This example is from Intercom, a company that loves talking about how good they are at design. Great design never neglects the fundamentals on a quest to impress the world around them. Focusing on the flashy part of design while neglecting the fundamentals is the same as in baseball focusing only on hitting home runs, or in basketball focusing only on hitting slam dunks. It's fun to look at and very exciting, but a player that focuses their entire game only on the most flashy parts will fall apart when they're tested in a real competitive environment. Another principle is that good design tries to impress, while great design gets out of the way. And I love this quote which says, "A good designer finds an elegant way to put everything you need on a page, while a great designer convinces you half that shit is unnecessary." Good design tries to impress people with delightful animations and beautiful user interfaces. You can spot good design, break it down, and document both what you like and how it was done. While great design is invisible. It almost feels like it wasn't designed at all. It's things like your MacBook unlocking automatically when you have your Apple Watch on, or your Nest thermostat adjusting to your preferred temperature when you enter a room. But it can also be something as simple as the egg cartons in a supermarket. Have you ever tried designing a better egg carton? It's not easy at all. There's a lot of constraints there, and it's really one of the best designs ever, and that's why it's lasted so long. Great design is the outcome of a painstaking thoughtfulness and a desire to help others. Finally, great design takes vision, courage, and discipline. Right now, there's a trend in Silicon Valley of trying to turn design into a process that can be duplicated and reproduced no matter who you slot into the position. And creating a clearly defined process is a great idea, especially for large companies. But when you're working day to day in an organization at that level, it's easy to get overly focused on optimizing the process and lose sight of what you're building and why you're building it. You end up iterating and optimizing on things that don't matter. It happens to all of us sometimes. But a big part of doing great design is creating a compelling vision of the future and having the courage and discipline to stick to that vision in the face of adversity. Just following a process step by step doesn't lead to great products. You can get a design that's good enough with that approach, but the difference between good design and great design is the difference between good success and great success. Jared Spool's recent post about creating an experience vision is, to me, the quintessence of what it takes to create great design. Here's a quote from it. "The easiest way to create an effective experience vision story is to start with the current experience. What makes today's experience with our product or service frustrating for our users? We can then ask, what's the best experience we could imagine providing for our users? We look closely at the frustrations and imagine an experience where those frustrations don't occur. Next up is to determine the time frame of the horizon. Most of our experience visions come closer to a 5-year horizon. In 5 years, what is the best experience we can imagine delivering? How will people's lives be better because we removed all the frustration? A compelling vision is what orients the process machine of an organization to create great products. Defining an experience vision in that fashion is relatively easy for an experienced designer, but the sustained organizational discipline it takes to follow through on that vision makes it damn near impossible. That's why there are so many crappy products out there and why most apps and websites look the same these days. It's much easier to just stick to making it good enough and do what everyone else is doing. But I would encourage you as designers to choose greatness. There are many reasons to try and do great work rather than just good enough work. It sets you apart from the rest of the pack. It makes people around you happier. It makes you happier. It's incredibly fun and satisfying. But most of all, what else are you going to do with your life? What better thing to do with your time on Earth than trying your hardest to make the world around you better? Imagine a world in which everyone tried to do this. Imagine the type of world we would live in if everyone tried to do that. But it starts with you. Now finally, I would love to hear from you guys. What are some examples of great design? Because I know I haven't covered them all. And just share them with us in the comments. And if you loved this video, please subscribe for more soon. Peace out.